It really wasn't that long ago that enjoying your favorite movie meant physically rewinding a piece of magnetic tape inside this bulky plastic cassette, just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping it wouldn't get completely chewed up by the VCR. But today, we exist in a completely different reality. We're living in this era of AI-driven interactive streaming empires, where vast high-definition libraries are literally beamed instantly to our screens. But how exactly did we make that monumental leap? What are the invisible mechanics working behind the scenes to deliver all this content seamlessly? And, perhaps most importantly, where is the immense financial capital steering this global industry next?
Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to unpack the technological, accessibility, and financial transformations that have completely reshaped how we consume video. Okay, let's dive into this.
Just to make sense of this massive ecosystem, we've broken it down into 5 key pillars for you. First, from analog to digital. Then, the mechanics of delivery. Third, media accessibility for all. Fourth, the great streaming convergence. And finally, the interactive media future.
All right, Section 1. From analog to digital. The sheer scale of technological acceleration we've seen here is, well, it's staggering. If we go all the way back to 1888, we have the Roundhay Garden Scene. This is officially recognized as the oldest surviving film, and it's literally just a 2-second analog clip of people walking in a circle, captured at a mere 12 frames per second. For decades after that, film was just this physical, analog medium, which meant it was subject to degradation and generation loss. But then, fast forward to 1986, and a major shift happens. The Sony D1 format is commercially introduced. It recorded an uncompressed, standard-definition video signal in pure digital form. It was a huge deal, and that paved the way for the late 90s and 2000s, which saw an absolute explosion of digital formats. In 1997, the DVD completely revolutionized the industry with sleek, high-quality storage, which, by the way, was the exact same year Netflix was founded as a mail-order DVD service. By 2006, Blu-ray arrived, offering even higher definition and effectively putting the final nail in the coffin for those old standard analog tapes.
Moving right along to Section 2, the mechanics of delivery.
Okay, so the invisible engine behind all of this digital video streaming is a concept called bitrate. Simply put, bitrate is the number of bits processed in a unit of time, and is directly proportional to both the file size of the video and the ultimate image quality you see on your screen. To really understand this, imagine water flowing through a pipe. The water represents the data, and the pipe is your network bandwidth, right? So if you want a brilliant, high-quality image, you have to push a lot of water through that pipe very quickly, which means a high bitrate. But if your pipe is too narrow, the water backs up and your video buffers. No one wants that. This is exactly why platforms dynamically compress video, balancing that pristine image quality with the reality of your actual internet connection to make sure you get a smooth viewing experience.
And that water pipe analogy perfectly explains the 2 primary ways encoders manage data flow: constant bitrate, or CBR, and variable bitrate, VBR. Think of CBR as a steady, unchanging flow of water. It's incredibly stable, which makes it absolutely perfect for live streaming events, like conferences or interviews where the background doesn't really change much. VBR, on the other hand, is dynamic. The encoder acts smartly here. It allocates more bits, or essentially a wider pipe, to highly complex, fast-moving scenes. If a scene suddenly features, say, heavy snow falling or rapid camera movement, VBR ramps up the bitrate to maintain crisp quality, and then it dials it right back down during slower, simpler scenes to save space. Pretty clever, right?
Up next, Section 3, Media Accessibility for All. According to the W3C Web Accessibility Initiative, the absolute golden rule here is this: you have to plan for accessibility early. Baking accessibility into the script and the storyboard phases saves immense time and money compared to trying to retrofit it later. A truly accessible media experience requires a multi-layered approach. It means integrating audio descriptions of vital visual info for folks who are blind or low vision. It requires accurate captions and subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing. And it extends to providing full-text transcripts and even native sign language interpretation. The takeaway here is that accessibility isn't just some optional add-on anymore. It is a fundamental, absolutely crucial component of modern media production. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how seriously the broader interactive media industry is taking this mandate. If we look at the latest data from the 2026 State of the Game Industry report by InvestGame, we can see exactly what developers are prioritizing right now. A massive 65% of developers are implementing basic input remapping. 58% are adding color alternatives, and 52% are ensuring large, clear subtitles. This is tangible, human-centric data showing that creators are actively building ecosystems where no player and no viewer is left behind. Let's jump into Section 4, the Great Streaming Convergence.
Over the past few years, the streaming market has matured incredibly rapidly. To combat subscription fatigue, which, let's be real, we've all felt, and to chase actual profitability, the entire industry is consolidating into hybrid models. We're seeing major players lean heavily into ad-supported tiers, and they're forming deep distribution partnerships. Third-party aggregators like Amazon Prime Channels are stepping in to bundle smaller services together, and they're taking a hefty 30% cut of subscriptions in exchange for giving those smaller platforms access to their massive user base.
But honestly, the most fascinating dynamic is happening at the very top of the food chain, between YouTube and Netflix. Historically, these two couldn't be more different. YouTube started as the undisputed king of user-generated short-form, mobile-first content. Netflix was the pioneer of premium, long-form, TV-first scripted series. But today, they are completely stealing pages from each other's playbooks. YouTube is aggressively pushing into the living room, trying to become a TV-first destination with polished, episodic original content. Meanwhile, Netflix is pivoting hard to capture the creator-driven audience. I mean, just look at their recent deal to strip 16 of Spotify's The Ringer video podcasts away from YouTube and onto Netflix. They are converging directly into each other's territory.
And the stakes for this battle are incredibly high, mostly because of the sheer scale of their dominance. In a highly fragmented streaming landscape, YouTube commands a massive 12.6% of all viewing time, with Netflix right behind them at 8.3%. To put that into perspective, the next tier of platforms, services like Roku, Tubi, and Peacock, each capture less than 3% of viewing time. The top two have completely separated from the pack, and their convergence is essentially setting the blueprint for the rest of the industry.
And finally, Section 5, the interactive media future. So the crucial point is captured perfectly in this finding from the AlixPartners 2026 Media Trends Report. They note the industry is shifting, quote, from content ownership to content interaction. We are moving away from a world where immense value is created simply by owning a passive piece of IP, like a movie just sitting in a vault. The new value pools are found in monetizing active, continuous audience engagement. Audiences today just aren't passive anymore. They oscillate constantly between watching, playing, and creating. Because of this major shift, private capital is deploying entirely new strategies for 2026. Instead of trying to outspend Disney or Netflix on full IP ownership, investors are funding the infrastructure of interaction. They're investing heavily in gaming operations, rolling up creative software as a service tools that power the creator economy, and utilizing really savvy co-financing models. A perfect example of this is Domain Capital Group structuring a 30-film theatrical slate with Paramount. This grants them lucrative exposure to massive blockbusters like Gladiator 2 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, all without taking on the creative risk of full studio ownership. It's really about owning the plumbing and sharing the upside rather than hoarding the water.
So we've journeyed from a 2-second grainy clip back in 1888 to a globally connected, highly accessible, dynamically encoded ecosystem, one that's dominated by a few massive converging titans. As the lines between watching a show, interacting with a creator, and playing a game continue to blur into one seamless digital experience, I want to leave you with this. How will your own viewing and playing habits adapt as the media you consume begins to actively interact back with you? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep your eyes on the screen. The next frame is already rendering.